You might be a fully grown adult, but do you still act like a kid in some ways? If so, you might need to grow up, or you might decide not to. Hey everyone, it's Jeff, and this is Plain English, episode number 872. Grow up is a great phrasal verb to know because it doesn't really mean what you think it does if you only look at the words. Grow up is about arriving at maturity. You'll learn more in a second. I used this expression in a story about Netflix. You might remember that a few years ago, Netflix started cracking down on password sharing. No longer could mom and dad share their passwords with their fully grown adult children living in their own homes. Nope, now everyone would need their own login and their own account. I said, half jokingly, that some people would decide to grow up and get their own Netflix accounts. That's how we used it in a previous Plain English episode, so now you're ready to learn this English phrasal verb, grow up. Before we start today's story, I'd just like to remind you that the podcast is just one part of how we can help you upgrade your English skills. At plainenglish.com, you can make faster progress with active learning strategies. You can take quizzes, do activities, listen to the fast version of the audio, watch video workshops, practice what you learn, and even join a live call with JR and me. It's all about helping you build your skills to become a better, more confident English speaker. Sound good? Go to plainenglish.com to start your free 14-day trial today. Now, let's jump into today's story. Today's expression is a little bit of a joke. It's a real expression, but I used it in a way that's like a joke. The expression is to grow up. The classic definition of grow up is to advance to maturity. When we're talking about people, we're talking about that part of your childhood that lasts until you're about 18 years old. So here are some ways to use it. Where did you grow up? That means, where did you spend your childhood? Where did you live in those years where you advanced in maturity to age 18? For example, I was born in the U.S. state of New Jersey, but I grew up in Connecticut. What does that mean? I was born in New Jersey, but at a very young age, my family moved to Connecticut, and I lived in the state of Connecticut from about age 6 until age 18. So I say, I grew up in Connecticut. Here's another expression. Kids grow up fast these days. That means that kids are exposed to adult themes earlier in their lives. Kids are required to process adult themes earlier and earlier in their lives. This could be violence, sexuality, divorce, eating disorders, technology, whatever. What a 15-year-old experiences today is a lot different from what a 15-year-old experienced half a century ago. So you can say kids grow up fast these days because they're exposed to mature themes earlier in their lives. You can also say kids in the city grow up faster than kids in rural areas. This is a generality, obviously, but kids who grow up in big cities will experience adult themes earlier than kids in a quieter location. Speaking in general, of course. But none of this is how I used it today. You can use this phrase ironically or tongue in cheek to describe a person who's an adult, a fully grown, fully formed, mature adult human being who nonetheless needs to act more like an adult and less like a kid in some way. Now, I don't know how it is in other places, but in the US, kids, as they get older, need services. They need health insurance. If they drive, they need car insurance. They need a cell phone with a cell phone plan. They need Spotify and Netflix profiles. Need, of course, is relative, but you know what I mean. And as those children grow up, they may leave the nest. They may go live in their own place. And everyone does this at their own pace, but eventually they will grow up and have their own accounts. They will mature. They will transform from being someone on another person's account to being someone who has his or her own account and pays his or her own bill. The cycle of life, right? Well, some adults in their 20s, 30s, or I can personally attest, even older than that, and who make good money, still share passwords as if they were children in another person's household. I'm not judging, I'm just saying. And with the new Netflix rules, some of those people will decide to grow up and get their own accounts. Now, this is a half joke. These people are not children who need to reach maturity. Even I share passwords. I give passwords and I receive passwords. We are all adults who do this. But in this one respect, we may decide that we need to take this step into maturity from being added on one person's account to having our own accounts. So in this one respect, we decide to grow up. This is not a criticism. This is just saying a person decides to take one step toward independence or maturity. People say this about themselves. I think I just need to grow up and then say something you have to do to mature. Here's a personal example. I don't have a will. There's no excuse for that. For a long time, I thought I was young, I wasn't going to die, and even if I died, I didn't have enough assets to make having a will worth it, and I didn't give it any thought. But now, I have more savings, I have property, I have a storage unit in Chicago full of furniture, and I'm not old, but I'm at the age where I really should have a will. Let's just leave it at that. I need to grow up and take care of that. I need to take that step toward maturity. Sometimes we say grow up if we know we need to confront a problem. A confident adult handles problems head on. A child runs away from problems. So let's say you're in a fight with your best friend and you're not talking to each other. You guys just need to grow up and work out your differences. You need to act more maturely.
So what did you do? If you were sharing Netflix passwords, what did you do? Did you grow up and get your own account? Did you join a family account? Or are you still trying to get around the rules? It's still possible to do that. They just made it a lot harder. Well, that's all for this episode of Plain English. This was number 872. So that means you can find the transcript, translations, fast version, and more at plainenglish.com/872. See you on Monday for a new story.
Listen up if you speak Spanish, Portuguese, Chinese, German, French, Italian, Japanese, Polish, or Turkish. One of the most frustrating things about listening and reading in a second language is being confused by unfamiliar words or phrases. When you listen to plain English, or when you read the transcript, you probably encounter some words you don't know. When that happens, you have a few options. You can stop the audio, go look up the definition, then return to the episode, find your place, and press play again, but that's exhausting. Or you can just skip it and be confused. That's no fun either. But what if you could see the translation of the word into your language instantly without having to stop the audio, without having to look anything up? Well, you can at plainenglish.com. For each episode, we translate about 100 words and phrases from English to 9 languages: Spanish, Portuguese, Chinese, German, French, Italian, Japanese, Polish, and Turkish. And we highlight those words in blue. All you have to do is hover your mouse over the highlighted word, and you'll see the translation instantly. It works great on mobile too. It really makes listening a lot more satisfying, and it's a great way to expand your vocabulary in English. The best way to see these translations is to sign up for a free 14-day trial at plainenglish.com. During your trial, you can read as many transcripts as you like, all with the translations into your language. So sign up for your free trial today at plainenglish.com.